Good evening and welcome. Another Thursday edition of Coach's Corner. And each and every Thursday, Coach Serrano and myself get an opportunity to speak with college coaches, all levels, all divisions, and we get to provide some insight for parents as well as student athletes with regard to college baseball. And today I am proud and honored to have the opportunity to speak with a coach that I have been able to watch as a dad at that time within the SEC. Really an elite pitching mind, an elite head coach, Auburn University head coach, Butch Thompson. And Coach, I really want to say thank you for taking some time. I know you've been awfully busy this fall, but thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Walter, thank you. First thing as you're talking there, I'm thinking about the difference you're making in college baseball, and that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to win a championship, of course, but I think at the end of the day, we all know that we're trying to wake up every day in our purpose and make a difference, and you're doing that. And then I know we talked off air, but you got to give Tyler my best. Just seeing him come through this league and being such a great talent, being a part of this league, probably in the middle of my tenure in the Southeastern Conference. I respected him greatly through the recruiting process, seeing him land at Vanderbilt, being a great player. But I absolutely, when you gave me the opportunity, I was excited because I know the following that you have, and I know the information that you're putting out is it is helpful, and it does make a difference because now more than ever, a voice of truth and reason is needed more than ever.
Well, I coming from you, I am humbled and honored and really grateful that you took the time to say that. And when I was a little taken aback when I got your email back that you wanted to be a part of it, and I was just with Tyler this weekend, who now lives in Texas, and he shared a great story about your former first baseman, big old Wes.
Big guy.
Big would be an understatement. You used to call him the old lineman in the middle of that state lineup. But, I think people that don't know your background, you've been in the SEC with Georgia to begin with, then Mississippi State, and obviously now the last, I think we're going on 10 years now at Auburn. And, for me personally, I would love for parents to get a little insight because I think it's the most beautiful campus in the SEC. But can you share, now that you've spent so much time at Auburn, what makes Auburn University such a spectacular campus and opportunity for a potential high school recruit?
Yeah, thank you. I started at Georgia in 2002, spent 4 years there, and then my first opportunity to be at Auburn was 2006, 7, and 8. I was the pitching coach at that time for Tom Slater, who was the head baseball coach. And then I went to Mississippi State under John Cohen, who now, believe it or not, is the athletic director at Auburn here for the last couple of years, which is amazing. And then you're dead on. This is my 10th season. Robin and I were speaking the other day how time flies. And what makes Auburn special, I think all of our venues are special. And I know you as a father in this league for 3 years going around to each of the towns, how much fun that it is to spend weekends. And I have friends all over this league, and I'm thankful to be knocking on the door 25 consecutive years in this league, just shy of it. But Auburn checks a lot of boxes. It is when you say college town, I think Auburn could be what pops up in the dictionary as the photo. The location of Auburn, Atlanta's right down the road. The beaches, the Emerald Coast is right there. Currently, this most recent cycle, we had 55,000 applicants for Auburn University, and we accept 6,000 students a year. So it's not as much of a secret as it has been in the past. And it's just, it's a great ACT. So from, all these families listening, if you start looking for a school that might be your fit or match, it's above a 28 average ACT of the student body. So we got to get to 55,000 to 6,000 somehow. And it's just a great community to live in, and all the places we've been have been special, but nothing has held a candle to Auburn as far as the experience to raise a family and be in a community. And some of the things that are offered here locally in the college town, it's just been special. And it's felt like home to us when I didn't go to Auburn, Robin didn't go to Auburn. And, but it's felt that way over this past decade.
One of the things that I always try to share with parents is the 4 years that the college, as a family, the college experience is such a tremendous environment. And I remember speaking with Tyler and talking to him about the differences between professional baseball and college baseball. And it's often referred to the 4 years of minor league baseball out of high school is called the chain link gang, whereas in college you're dealing with Columbia and Gainesville and Lexington and Nashville, et cetera. Talk a little bit about that level of play at the SEC. I mean, it is weekend in, weekend out. You are dealing with the best of the best every weekend during from mid-March all the way through Hoover. It's quite the deal if you're a high school baseball player, if you get to be in those bright lights of the SEC.
Yeah, and it's continued to get better. We were talking like in 2002, it was amazing when I walked in the door at all the players that were there currently. And I'm like, I got to figure this out quick as a recruiter, as a pitching coach, and help these guys and recruit a certain level better than, it didn't matter where you came from before. Once you step in this league, it raises the bar. And then all these years later, now that the draft is cut in half and more guys are coming to college or staying in college, both of those are happening at a higher rate than ever. It's only made it older. It's made it stronger from a standpoint of talent. So for me to be able to report over these 20 plus years, it's only continued to get better and better is pretty amazing to myself to think about. And I think what's awesome now, as we currently sit in these current cycles, as crazy as everything is, the guy that's a premium player that has a sincere chance of one day, if everything falls into place, because it's so hard to do, but if you got a chance to make it to the big leagues, it feels like the college route is a good route as far as especially the Southeastern Conference. And I'm not an expert on everything else, but just being in this league, coming here, staying with your peer group, not jumping a step or leaving a gap there. You're still pursuing two careers when you come to college, like we've always said through my career. When you enter professional baseball, you're pursuing one career. But I just think the maturation process, we talked about, like, every pitch is magnified in our league once you get to it. And those are some things that the league just teaches the players, themselves, without a coach having to do anything. Just going through this league will teach you something where it's packed stadium. You travel. You'll have to make it to the big leagues to be able to travel around and do some things that we are afforded the opportunity and how we treat these players now. So, and then I just say how competitive that it is. We finished last in the Southeastern Conference last year, and that's hurtful for a coach to say that, 2 of the last 5 years we've been to Omaha.
Right.
This 2 years before this year, we hosted a regional as a top 16 seed. So, and I don't think we have bottomed out. I still think, last year we were 19-4 in our non-conference games against some great competition because we had the number 3 strength of schedule in all of college baseball. So it's just an amazing league. You've seen a couple of teams in our league win the national championship and not make our tournament, our conference tournament the very next year. So, hey, you're signing up for real baseball. And when you see somebody 15-15 in the SEC, they got a chance to go to Omaha and be one of the final 8, if not compete and walk toward a national champion. We've seen that in recent history, and you would have to go to Major League Baseball to see somebody with a 500 record to be that amazing from a skill standpoint. So it is amazing if you want to test yourself. If you come out on the positive side after 2, 3, 4 years, whenever your draft eligible opportunity is presented, if you're above the midline, this league it'll undress you. It'll pick you back up. It'll keep giving you opportunities. And if you stay in the fight and you keep growing, and if you're surrounded with people that are going to be there to stay with you, I think it's an amazing way. And arguably for me, what I try to communicate is maybe the best way to get there. Paul Skeens hadn't hurt us any either. Won the Rookie of the Year, was a phenomenal in our league. And, we've been around, and we can talk about player. I've had the first pick overall too that wore an Auburn uniform here, and Casey Mize, who we just hold in the highest regard. The season that Paul Skeens laid down in the Southeastern Conference was a model of consistency like I haven't seen, and we know how many great pitchers have come through. And then not only did he make it to Major League Baseball in one season, he actually started that all-star game and wins Rookie of the Year. I think now more than ever, our league is a great place for somebody who wants to play in the big leagues. That doesn't change. Just seeing this is maybe arguably the best route to hook it up and get there.
Well, I'm going to absolutely 100% agree with that sentiment. I believe that the SEC is the best training ground for any young man or high school athlete that aspires to play the game at the highest level. And you touch upon a couple of really great pitchers in Paul Skeens and Casey Mize, and I think there's no one better to begin. I really would like to discuss this topic. I don't think we hear enough about it. When we talk pitching, typically, people want to kind of be led by the analytics and the metrics and the terminologies like vertical and horizontal and spin rate. But at the end of the day, to be successful in a conference like the SEC, to be able to move forward from the SEC to professional baseball, there's a certain level of mental toughness, mental discipline, learning how to pitch and plus counts, with your secondaries and so forth. And you are one of the elite pitching mentors in the sport. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about when you're recruiting high school pitchers, how do you get them to understand what awaits them and what you're about to teach them with regard to the mental toughness, mental disciplines that it's going to need to pitch in the SEC?
Yeah, I love it. This is what I'm signed up for, and this is what I still love, and being a pitching coach in this league for 15 years and then moving into the head coach's role, Kevin O'Sullivan still does his own pitching, et cetera. You look at different setups. I've been blessed to have Tim Hudson, who was on the Hall of Fame ballot, one of Auburn's greatest, to be the pitching coach here for 3 years and lead a pitching staff to Omaha in 22. Darren Schoenrock, who was my pitching coach in college, was the head coach at Memphis for 19 years, was here 1 year. And now currently we have Everett Tiefert, who was a minor league pitching coordinator for Chicago White Sox, played at Georgia Southern, was a high school product out of Georgia. And I mention those guys because I need to share credit for whatever words I say before I give my opinion. But, Everett's with us now because analytics is here to stay. And, we're one of 10 or less teams in college baseball that have the Kinatrack system now. And the analytics is not going away. And I'm learning. And I need to continue to learn and grow for myself as I'm offering advice, even though I have a pitching coach. And Scott Foxhall is also with me, who was a pitching coach at Mississippi State and was the 21 National Assistant Coach of the Year on their national championship team. So I'm blessed. We're surrounded with some good pitching stuff. But to answer the question, one of the first things I'm doing with young people now is asking them what they throw. And then they step right into it and they say, I throw 93, I throw 95. And I go like, no, I was talking about what's your percentage of strikes overall that you throw. So I want them to tell me 64, 66, 69%. So I'm trying to get their mind changed from what the world's teaching them, because I don't want to be with the herd. We've never been able to develop pitchers with them being in the herd or being generic or being vanilla, all those words. We have to find something that's unique. I think of Paul Skeens and everybody goes, well, that is an amazing talent. But him and Casey Mize, Casey Mize's junior year, the reason why he, wound up lifting to the number one overall pick is, it's 116 strikeouts and 12 walks. That's the lifter. It's the percentage of strikes. And everybody's like, it's a split finger. But to me, it's command. And the definition of command is authority over the baseball. And Skeens has it. And there's just elite command because, there's a bunch of boys that are talented. And for the people listening, I probably looked it over through preparation of video for opponents that we played from just curiosity standpoint. There were over 40 guys in the Southeastern Conference last year that probably touched a 95 from an analytical standpoint that was choking on north of a 5 ERA. So there's got to be more to it. And to me, it's the overall percentage of strikes. And after they get here and with us, when I say, what do you throw? I'm looking for a number, hopefully in the 60s, not the 50s. And So that's one place. And then second, I've been blessed, and this is not to brag. I've been on a team and either recruited or coached or been the head coach of 16 major league pitchers here since 2014, a very blessed run. And I'm just looking at these guys and I'm going, what is it, to answer your question? And so I'm going to say percentage of strikes is number 2. And I'm going to say number 1, the common thread. Some of them had sliders, some of them threw really hard, some of them didn't throw quite as hard. Some of them had the third pitch, some of them could really pitch in, etc. But I think the number 1 common thread is confidence, true self-confidence. And so therefore, after going into year 33 for me, I believe self-confidence is the number 1 variable to human performance. And it was impressed upon me by Dr. Jason Selk, who helps our program, has been with us for 4 years now. And in 21, he put a book out called Relentless Solution Focus. And it's all built around his time with John Wooden, who anything with Wooden's name on it is a good chase. And I would highly recommend that to the people listening tonight, because that's the common thread. Some were left-handed, some were tall, some were short. They had all this different degrees, but self-confidence out of every one of those guys was the common thread. Now there's 150 more that didn't make it, and some of them had more talent and maybe a better pitch or maybe better analytics to something that they did. But the common thread of those boys that got all the way there was confidence. Confidence, percentage of strikes. Because if you just start playing with percentage of strikes and get that on up there, the game's going to favor you. And I don't care if you're Greg Maddux. If you're behind in the count, it didn't favor him either. The thing is, Greg Maddux didn't live there. He didn't throw a plethora of pitches being behind in the count. He was always, we're in a football area down here in Alabama. They were always ahead of the chains. They were not behind the yardage. They were always in third and long. And Greg Maddux and those guys, Casey Mize, Skeens, all the guys that we can sit here and talk about, they absolutely possessed a percentage of strikes better than everybody around them. Probably work ethic, if we're getting to number 3, all the common things that we pump into these young people, who you're running with, all those things matter. But if you just answer the question and not talk all night, it's confidence. And I'm talking real confidence and belief in yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you hold yourself up. Every baseball field that plays real baseball, that's an elevated position, and that pitcher takes it. And that center fielder and that shortstop either want him out there or not. And they're taught to take prep steps, and your ability to raise your percentage of strikes engages synergy within the ranks. And you must have real confidence because you're center stage. And if those are the only 2 things I could impress on somebody, it would at least be a great starting point for what I've seen be the common thread with my guys that have made it.
To me, I love that pours over me, because I really hope that parents, and I know that the student athletes will hear that, the confidence and conviction of competing with your best and not trying to worry about what the hitter's strengths are or weaknesses are, as a pitcher, being able to compete with your best, at every opportunity that you get to go up on the bump. And I think more pitchers need to understand there's more than velocity. It's a lot of, first pitch strikes, working ahead, things like that. And, one of the things that I would love for you to share with regard to the Auburn way now, you mentioned, Coach Foxhall, Coach Gross, when you're out now in today's world with regard to the high school athlete, in light of all the changes that are about to take place, where do you feel the role of the high school athlete? Do you still feel that they'll play a significant role with regard to recruiting at Auburn? Do you think that this is going to change the role of the high school athlete? How do you think these things will shake up starting next spring?
Well, I know the high school athlete perceived, and at least communication and what people think, they got the short end of the stick. We had COVID, and then we had all this new world stuff with NIL and portal, etc. But we're doubling down, and I just, whatever my answer is, all you can do is go check.
Right.
We just brought in 6 or 7 high school guys, and 3 of them were drafted and still came to school. So to our first point, we are seeing families, advisors, the industry, if you will, say that coming to our league is the best route. It is the highest percentage route to help you potentially get there. Now, there's
Agreed.
cases where guys probably should sign. I'm not saying that, and I'm not against Major League Baseball. Hopefully that partnership is stronger than ever and will continue to grow and really do something amazing in the next few years. I can see the partnership potentially between the Southeastern Conference, maybe all Power 4. As we're going through this change, when this thing breaks off, I can see a partnership with Major League Baseball like never before. And I think we welcome that. I think that would only continue to make that next level. When I say it keeps getting stronger, that might be the next level of us getting stronger. But, we just doubled down on, and we think we can. Just like when Tyler was coming out, we were recruiting that type of player. We feel like we're thankful and humble enough to know, but we feel like we can get great high school talent. If I couldn't get a great player from the high school ranks, we probably wouldn't do it. But we think it sustains a program, not just for a season, because sometimes that's what the portal can do for you. We think the high school guys still 2-3 years where you can build a culture. You can make a man like we used to. We're doubling down on trying to make a difference. We're doubling down on the Auburn degree having meaning. I think that's what our leadership and our supporters of our program still want. I still think they want me to go to Omaha, try to win a national championship, compete with these amazing, great schools. But I think they want me to make a difference. They still want us to build men like this stuff was set up at Auburn since 1856 and all around. And the high school player is vital to that. So no matter what mainstream is saying, as long as I feel like the program that I get an opportunity to lead right now can competitively get the best high school talent in the country and try to recruit that, we're going to be in the market for that, because I want Auburn degrees. I want them to come back for the rest of their life. And we're all doing the portal. Nobody can deny any of that part or piece, because we have a mandate to be competitive as we possibly can. But we cannot lose the opportunity to make a difference. There are still things that the baseball is huge, but there's some things that are bigger than ball. And those are the things that we're trying to figure out, all those strategies at once to the best of our ability to keep building a great program and making a difference in the development process of players.
I'm so glad you touched on that topic, because I had written down here that one of the questions that I was hoping to get in, and this is a great segue for me, I would love for you to discuss, because not only have you've been in college baseball for a few decades now, and I would love for you to talk about the balance. We hear so much about the baseball, and it's all about the sport, it's baseball centric, but really we could pick any school, or any college, any university, and it's about the balance of leaving childhood, becoming a young man, a future spouse, a future parent, a future employee or employer, the balance of the collective college experience within baseball, within college baseball particularly. And I would love for you to talk about those moments that you get to share with your former student athletes that come back, whether that be at Georgia or Auburn or even Mississippi State. I know it is meaningful to coaches such as yourself, but can you just talk about that 4-year balance of academics, athletics, social, culture, and the campus life? It plays a significant role in the development of a young man.
The players that we coach the longest are usually the players we're the closest to after they leave. There's been some impressionable guys in a short period of time. Sonny DeShera is one of those. He was the 2022 SEC Player of the Year. Had transferred from Samford University to here and was phenomenal. He's at the ballpark today and every day, and got married and moved here. and playing professional baseball and is around all the time. But most of the time, these relationships absolutely are when you see them fail. And we talk about talking about families and players, great players. You're 6'4", 240. You come to the SEC, and it's going to be the best route. You think it's going to be hard, but that's how you learn how to figure this game out, is to fail and go through some trying times. So this league will absolutely wear you out from time to time and give you some moments, but that's how you grow. You absolutely, it'll prune you. You'll see somebody do something that you can't do, like you walk in and somebody's juggling 3 balls and you can't, but you'll learn how to juggle those 3 balls, and you'll learn how to pick up things from either your teammates or somebody that you're competing against. And to me, that's the magic of the Southeastern Conference. And it's really the failure piece is where the most growth happens. And can you hang in there, and can you play in front of a bunch of people, the biggest venues that you possibly can dream of for our world? Can you step out on that field in Omaha, north of 25,000 people, and be able to get to your stuff, or be able to keep your head and barrel connected, or get that good sound in your leather, or throw the ball where it's supposed to be thrown? Those are the things that you can learn here. But I care deeply, and the greatest thing, and I know you've invested in young people in the game, the neatest thing in the world for a coach, the ultimate payment for a coach, is that 10 years after the fact of, like, you made a difference here. And what we can't forget as coaches is that we're not with them forever. So if I get an amazing young man, and all of them are amazing, but when you get an amazing talent, just know you got those 3 years with them, and that's it. You'll see them when they come back. So you better give them everything that you have. I just remember when you know, Casey Mize rolled out, I'm like, I gave you everything I got. Go. And it's awesome to get a phone call. I'll reach out periodically, but I'm not on top of them. They got to go do a job now. And now there's a wife, and there's an employer, and he has pitching coaches, and he has a whole organization behind him. So our relationship changes. If you're going to teach them the game, if you're going to do something, you got those 2 or 3 years. But man, these relationships are deep. The longer you get to spend with somebody is pretty amazing. And those people are just absolutely dear to you for all your days. And so it's important. It's important for us as coaches, because you just start taking all the great coaches in our league and you look at the programs and see, for us to continue to keep getting great players, we got to have a real identity. John Maxwell, when I was coaching at Georgia, he came and talked. Mark Richt was the football coach at the time. And John Maxwell came and spoke to all the coaches at Georgia and all the sports. And he's like, hey, all you recruiting coordinators. And it hit on me and perked me up. And he said, don't forget now, you get who you are, not always who you want. And so when I got here, I knew at Auburn that we had to absolutely set a program with identity, because that's really how you attract. It's not like super recruiting. I know everything's important, but the best way to recruit is to have a sincere identity that attracts others when somebody can see. And I'm telling you, the best coaches in our league, you can start looking around, you can start seeing, and you go like, that coach, that program, and they're known for this. This is their strengths. These are maybe their challenges, but nonetheless, I just hope that we're a program now that absolutely is set up. We started finally getting into some building and stuff like that, but I hope we have a sincere identity, because Coach Wooden was into his second decade before those 10 happened. Coach Corbin, who's been somebody that I've sat there and watched from day one, that I've just respected so much. It was 10 years for that thing started hooking up, and everybody thought it would happen that it was happening from day one. I'm hoping to follow suit and a trend with my own program the same way. This stuff is hard. This stuff takes a while to build. I'm not talking about having a good team. I'm talking about having an amazing program with identity. That's not an overnight type thing. So I think if you're a coach, you got to think about real identity. If you're a young person trying to pick a school, that's the fit and the match. When people are talking about fit and match, what they're really talking about Are you really in line with their identity of who they are? That's important. Don't forget that piece, because there's happiness there. Those are your closest relationships there. And I know I was talking about the coach player, but maybe the strongest bond of all this stuff is the player.
I
That's your
agree.
golf. That's your golf foursome someday. And that's what I hate desperately is bother me now. I don't want the kids to lose that. I don't want that to go away where it's bounce, 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 bounce. I want That's a part I want to hold on to. I'm not saying everything's negative that's coming and all the transition that we're about to do. I'm hopefully we look back and say like, hey, we got through that time and things are restored and we're back to, feeling decent about what we're doing. But what I desperately don't want to lose is for people getting their closest friends that they're ever going to have in their life through these college relationships. I don't want that to go away, because that may be stronger than the coach player, that player. What's your group of guys? We did just have the number 3, number 2. It just depends on where you look, recruiting class in all of America. And all that was about 8 young men saying, we're going to do this together. And man, how fortunate am I where I got 8 guys that absolutely, and it just organically happened. Or if I knew the trick, I would do it every year I ever coached to figure it out. But the power within that group for them to lock shields with one another and walk in here, give me optimism. It gives me hope. Like I am not, in a place where like coming off a tough year where I feel like we're abandoned and our program's gone. And I think that's taken a long time to build. And I got a special group that hopefully of parents and players that have understood what I'm trying to talk about. It's important who your pitching coach is. It's important who your head coach is. It's important that you like the college. It's important what you're studying. But don't forget about that group with you every single day. At the end of the day, you're going to spend the most time in the world with those people. And check out the identity piece of who you're going to live with and who you're going to interact with each and every day. That's a huge one. I don't, in this day and time, I hate hearing it, but I got to do what's best for me. And I just hear me and I a little too much, and nobody's trying to be bad. They don't even realize that they're saying it. And what I want is hopefully, even if they're the player I get, I'm trying to do everything in my power for them to understand the other side. The best version of themselves is going to be when they give it up for a team, when they give it up for others, there'll be a windfall back on them. So I don't even know if they're aware of what they're saying sometimes, but I want people to think about, being a part of something bigger than yourself. We say that a lot, but what's the true meaning of that? I think that's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, I knew you were going to nail that, and I'm so glad that you were able to verbally convey that message of the we versus the me. And I don't think it's anyone's fault, but I always try to tell and share with student athletes. My saying when I was a coach was it was always we versus me. Winners execute versus making excuses, and so that acronym has always stuck with me. And Coach, I value your time. I'm so glad you were able to share this information with parents. If you could just leave us with one last question, one last nugget. I love the sport. I love baseball. I particularly love college baseball. Always have, always will. All the way back to when I was a kid and Coach Frazier and Coach Bertman and Coach Polk. And I would love for you to be able to summarize, if you can, what is maybe a couple words of wisdom that you would have for those athletes that are in high school, they're not seniors, and they really want to play college baseball? What would you tell them to really focus in on and make sure they have down as best they can to prepare to be a college baseball player?
Yeah, be realistic, and you're going to need somebody maybe to help you alongside, maybe with a relationship like with you. There's got to be a coach you trust or a scout or somebody that parents can lean on, because, I've had major league parents. I've had all this. I've had 3 daughters. It's like they can do no wrong. And it doesn't matter what level you played at. That is just tough. You need somebody running arbitration for you that can give you a good to the best of their ability. We're not always right. Players are allowed to get better, and we make mistakes.
Right.
But try to get somebody that would love you enough to be honest enough to kind of give you a gauge. Now, we should always be aiming for our highest star. Les Brown says people don't fail because they aim high and miss. It's because they aim low and hit. So you should continue to aim as high as you possibly can, because I said players are allowed to get better and amazing things can happen. We're talking about Adam Frazier being a 25% scholarship guy, and, you know, we didn't have to work hard to recruit him. And, you know, his junior year, he gets more hits than anybody in college baseball. And that's 2013 when he come out. It's 2024. It's going to be the 2025 season. He's still playing baseball in the big leagues. So that can happen. Somebody needs to be real honest with you. We talked about confidence. You just said no excuses. If we would all find a sincere level of confidence and stop making excuses, boy, people would respect you more in your game. You wouldn't be thinking about problems so much. You would be on the solution side and constantly trying to come up with a solution. So the no excuses is a huge piece that I can't gloss over. And then, you know what makes a good player? Because we get to coach so many players that are pretty good players. They all hit in a 3-hole where they came from. They're all the number one pitcher where they come from. They're all shortstop, because we get like 5 every recruiting class, and then that winds up being your third baseman, your second baseman, your left fielder.
Yeah.
It's consistency. If you could just be consistent, you'd be better. If you found sincere confidence and didn't let anybody say anything to hurt that, and you became consistent with that, if you would stop making excuses and constantly, instead of saying something about your coach or somebody's holding you back, and would just keep being solution oriented, and then if you would just work consistently, it ain't the greatest talented players we love. We like our best players are the ones that have real talent but are consistent most times that they hit the field. That's how we can piece together championship teams, is consistency. And, you know, finally, I would say be good to everybody, because you might be down here or you might be up here right now. And then in 5 years, you might be down here and that other person is right there. The game of baseball is so much like life, and it's a great lesson. You never know on the way up, way down, how this game, it's a small game, and then life plays this way. Just be good to everybody. You don't have to agree. You don't have to always believe in everything. You can absolutely stand your ground on things that you believe in, but be good to everybody at the end of the day. Leave no regrets out there. You go down with your best stuff. We talked about that early with pitching. There's no regret. When I lost a game on my 4th pitch, that was hard in the hotel room or laying my head down on the pillow. If somebody got me and I threw one of my best pitches in the big moments, then I tip my hat. But I absolutely worked on my game so much with consistency. I'm like, this is who I am. This is what I do. And let's play ball. But
I'm going to tell you just hits on something. My dad used to say this to me when I was a kid, and I never forgot it, but you just summed it up with what he used to tell me. He used to say the difference between a leadoff hitter and a 9-hole hitter is nothing but consistency. Yeah. If you're more consistent, you're not going to be a 9-hole guy. So I cannot thank you enough, because the wisdom that you were able to share here tonight was nothing less than spectacular. I truly am grateful that you took the time to spend with us today, and I wish you a great upcoming season and beyond. I will be at one of your games this year. I am going to be making a few trips during the spring to see some SEC games, and Auburn is one of my favorites, always has been, always will be, so I will be in the house to catch an Auburn Tiger game.
Well, this has been a joy. I've absolutely loved this, and thank you for making a difference. And that's exactly why I wanted to be with you tonight, and appreciate you.
Thank you. And folks, I want to let you know that everything in reference to Auburn University, all of the SEC teams is available for you in the Baseball Blue Book, all brand new, all renovated and recently upgraded. available on the Google and the Apple app stores. So go ahead and download that Blue Book. And Coach, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Yeah. Where are you going?
All proteins are not the same. I encourage you to choose a grass-fed whey protein. The cattle have a cleaner diet, grazing on natural grass, which is going to mean that it's going to have higher branched chain amino acids, also your omegas and your CLAs. I'm telling you, it matters from a recovery standpoint. Choose the best protein and you're going to see the best gains and the best recovery. I'm telling you, athletes, make a wise choice because it matters what you put in your body.